What's your name?
My name's Vanna.
What do you do?
What do I do?
Oh, like are you a
Major.
student?
I'm a full-time student. I'm majoring in social work and women's studies with a minor in Spanish. And yeah, that's about it.
Cool. All right. So number one, are you a woman?
I do identify myself as a woman, yes.
Okay. From your perspective, what is it that makes you a woman?
Whenever it comes to gender, I do identify myself with that more. Of course, you have the biological sex aspect of it, which culture tells us that you're a woman if you have this or that, the gender binary. I like being feminine, it's fun. Always, whenever I was a little girl, I always loved dressing up like a princess. And in my preschool, actually, there was a really, I don't even want to call him a boy, but we would fight over the princess dress in my preschool, and it was so cute. And that was the first time I ever questioned I was like, well, I thought he was a boy, but maybe he's not a boy, and I loved that. So I don't know. Yeah, girl, it's complicated, I guess.
Of
Is your
course.
question.
Okay. In your day-to-day life, how do you identify other women that you see?
I don't know. I guess from first glance, you can always kind of assume, but the best way to do it is like asking about someone's gender. You ask them, or you get to know them more, and you start seeing like their personality and like how they identify. And the more that you do that, I think the more that you see their gender.
Okay. So when you're out and about and you just see people that are just there that you're probably never gonna talk to or anything like that, do you ever look at somebody and assume that they're a guy or a girl? You can be honest.
Yeah, of course. Sometimes I do, and like I think that our brains really do like to make those gender binaries, but I try not to do that because of like my experience and knowing that it's so much more complex.
Yeah.
And especially whenever you see someone who's like, maybe you don't know their gender from first glance, and you're like, well, why does it even matter? You should ask, or you should or maybe you're just like interested and want to know that person because I don't know.
Okay. Okay. How important to you is your identity as a woman?
Well, I think it's really important, but I also understand that identity is so much more complex than one aspect of yourself. Like class, race, biological sex, gender. All of these are like very complex aspects of beings. So even though I do that one is important to me, it's so complex, and the term woman is so dynamic, and it's so cultural, and it's so fixed in our society in a very different way than what it would be in another. So I like to take all of those things into consideration whenever I do hear the term woman, or even the term feminist.
How does your womanhood affect you on a daily, weekly basis, if any, it happens in any significant ways?
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly. I guess whenever I think of my identity as woman, and I identify as a feminine woman, I think of like getting up in the morning and like doing my makeup and hair, and like I associate that with my day-to-day life. I do that a lot, like kind of the routine.
Mm-hmm.
And then but I know that so many people's routines are so different.
Yeah.
So it's so cool. And then, like the influence that I have in my day-to-day life, like I'm really not sure. I don't know.
Okay. Some you don't really like think about that
Yeah,
frequently?
yeah. It's something that I don't pay much attention to it, I guess, but it would be really interesting to focus on that more.
What do you feel your society expects from you as a woman?
I'm gonna get real like Marxist in here for a second. I think
Please.
with I've been reading Imperial Leather in my Sex and Empire class, and it talks a lot about women's place in capitalism and how, of course, it's a really traditional sense where like woman is kind of like at home, that kind of thing, and how they're pressured to take care of the man and be seen as an additive to his identity, which of course this is just like man-woman aspect, which is much more complex if you take into the identity of gender and race as well. But I feel like a lot is expected of women. I also feel like it's not going to benefit us unless we like make a separate movement out of it, I guess. You know what I'm trying to say?
Separate movement?
Kind of like, this is a little Marxist feminist, but I think that in order for women to be, to have their own like separate identities, we have to kind of take away from capitalism a little bit, and to kind of make our own identities, take away from the idea of colonial conquest being white men, and I don't know.
So we have
It's just,
to overthrow capitalism.
in a way, yeah.
Okay.
And but a lot is expected of us, for sure.
Okay. Specifically, what men in your life, what do you feel they expect from you? It can be any men,
I'm thinking.
friends, family.
Yeah. I'm thinking of I guess the man I spend the most time with is my grandpa. And whenever I think of what he expects of me, I mean, it's not that he doesn't have any expectations. He's just very, I don't know. It's interesting. What does he expect of me? I guess I would say he expects me to be a lot of like normal feminine attributes. Like he doesn't know that, like, I haven't came out to my grandpa because he has dementia. So he probably like wouldn't remember or like something. So it's like it's also kind of confusing, and he just doesn't know much about it. So I just don't really feel comfortable.
Yeah.
But so I guess like heteronormative wise, he expects me to be like straight and like expects me to bring boys home, like and like masculine, male identified, like like cliche straight white boys. And I just feel like a lot of heteronormative things are expected of me too, I guess. The heteronormative focus.
What about other women? What do they expect from you? Like, what do they expect you to be like?
Let me think. The girls I spend the most time with are probably my best friends here, like Desmond, Emily, and Katie. And I feel like I'm definitely the one who I feel like that they go to whenever they want someone to like comfort them, or like kind of be like, it's okay, if you're upset, and like I'll buy you yogurt and we'll hang out and talk, and like you'll feel better. But I'm not sure if that's a part of my feminine identity or because I'm in social work and I really want to help people and I make that very open, and I like for people to talk to me. It makes me happy. So yeah, I guess that's expected of me.
Okay. Do you ever feel like your role as a woman like conflicts with other social roles you might have? Does it ever get in the way of anything?
Absolutely. Whenever I'm very active in feminism, and a lot of people don't think that feminists can be feminine or like, they have to be like man-hating lesbians with like long armpit hair and like, my armpit hair is long right now, but I'm still feminine. So, yeah, just like the strict binaries there, and the idea that you can't be active in social movements or rights if you look a certain way, or you have to look, like against the like the norm to be in a social movement. And I feel like that conflicts a lot, and also just like being a college student too, it really conflicts like with your friends here and like then your family back home, because I grew up not in necessarily traditional household, but very I guess like in the South, so they're gonna have those really social norms like ingrained into them, so they don't mean to push it on you, but it's gonna be pushed on you anyway.
Yeah.
And then being at school and being able to be open about like my sexuality, or if I like want to like question my gender identity, I can do that and I'm comfortable doing it, versus being at home. So I see those conflict a lot.
Okay. Do you ever feel lacking or insufficient as a woman?
Yeah, I feel like a lot's expected, definitely. And I also feel like, and especially like in education systems, I feel like I have to like kind of prove my intelligence some more.
Yeah.
Or like because I like video games a lot, and I always have to prove, like, or anime, and they're like, you don't watch anime, you're like, you haven't played Call of Duty and gotten to level 52 on Kino der Toten and zombies, and I'm like, you want to see? But yeah, it's really funny how like the stereotypes of that kind of collide, and it, even though I know it's silly and like I'll make jokes about it, it's like people still actually think that. It's like really funny people say that to you,
Yeah.